As a wilderness expert, much like yourself, I was looking for the best gear to shoot wildlife videos, and I discovered some things: that Micro Four Thirds sensors are tiny in their appearance and mighty in their results. I also discovered that full frame is superior in every way, and we will show it to you today, and the aps-c sensor is a middleman's land. It leads to nowhere.
All I want is the perfect camera. All I want is the perfect camera.
So let's get the obvious out of the way. Micro Four Thirds is tiny. This is a prime lens, 600 milliquiv, 28 tonne wise, versus a 600 milliquiv on the long end, 200 to 600 though, and is 6.3 full. The Fuji 100 to 400 is somewhere in the middle of those two lenses. I could still have it here. You don't know that I sold it. That's ridiculous. The footage you'll see today will prove that I would never get rid of it. So first we have the Olympus OM1 with some basic woodpecker footage. I'm manually focusing here. I tried not using the focus clutch because that was too sensitive, and I found this was better, but it doesn't seem to be linear. He's not out of focus there. You don't know what you're talking about. So what I find is this sync stab is quite good, quite darn good, I must say. Like there's not a lot of jerky. Oh, why? Oh, as soon as I said it, I debunked myself. Okay, there wasn't a ton. I freaked out for a second. Just give me a break. Now contrast that with some full frame Sony footage of the same type of bird. Oh, that ended quickly. Okay, we're going into HD 240p now. I notice that full frame gives you a richer look, more colors, less depth of field, more dynamic range. Like everything about the image is going to be superior, but I am comparing to Olympus, the lowest totem pole Micro Four Thirds loser you could get. This could be a different story with the Panasonic GH6. I'm just saying, I am curious. And while Fuji couldn't find a basic woodpecker, he had a hummingbird that was relaxing for some reason. I've never seen a hummingbird just rest. They're always flapping at 90,000 beats per minute. And I found the only one that was lazy enough to be fat. And that ended up being good content right there. But HD 240p, I mean, it's not very detailed. It's kind of, he's licking something. He's licking the air. You can't reach the flower, you lazy hummingbird. You have to fly. Get off your ass, you lazy couch potato hummingbird. Why'd I find the laziest one? Calm down. He'll fly off soon. I know he will. So here's some 4K 120p, and we got a bee over there. He's like, what was that? Oh my God, am I in danger? Not really, you're fine. And eventually he will take off. If you punch in on that Fuji 4K 120p, it's not bad, man. I'm telling you, it's pretty sharp. It's not a full frame sharpness, but it's pretty good. You could get by selling this to Walmart. And here his lazy ass finally starts to flap some wings. Get a little move on. Yeah, get out of here, buddy. Thanks for staying in my shot for so long flying. I saw him again, though. I saw him again, then he flew off. A majestic 240 frames per second. That was in animal eye detect, by the way. It was latched on to him, and this is what I must say. Fuji sometimes gets it. Most of the time doesn't. Like, there's a lot of people online saying, look, it does work sometimes. Yeah, so does Panasonic. I'm talking about reliable, things you can count on in life, like your father. That he just drives you to the hockey game, and he's not gonna let you down. He's gonna pick you back up. Or did he stay to watch your game? That's a dick father. Did he go off to drink beer while you played your heart out? So yeah, sometimes it works, but if you're a professional, like this shirt indicates, you would probably do as I did, turn that thing off, animal eye detect, back button focus, and manual tweak. Now let's forget about all that nonsense and witness some raccoon magic. It's so funny because I see a raccoon as like a street animal that's always near humans, eating our garbage, and then when I go out and I'm seeing one in the trees, I'm like, oh, you do belong here in the woods. That's so cool. Oh, they're so cute. It's a little bear. But Sony just gives you those details. 4K 120p, The HD 240p is much worse, but it's still respectable, and it's not super noisy unless you're like me and you're doing auto ISO and you hit that unsweet spot where it's like 6400 ISO or 8000, 10,000 right before it kicks into sweetness mode at 12,800. In fact, I'll show you after this raccoon stretches and wonders where he is. How come there's no garbage around here for me to eat? It's because you're in a tree. So here's Sony 240 frames per second, and I've noticed it was noisy in my viewfinder. The peaking was all like red. I'm like, oh, I should switch. And so I did. I kicked it into 12,800, then boom, the noise cleans up, and that's something the other systems just can't do. You're not gonna get like this. There was no light on this bird, but here you are, full frame magic, and you're getting slow motion woodpecker footage, pecking his way through life. Now when you switch on over to Fuji, now you're in a crop sensor, you see the cheapness. Was he in focus? Probably not. Did this freak me out? Did I get any of it on film? No, I didn't. But it was a pretty magical moment. I'm focused 15 yards behind him like you should be. And then eventually I learned, oh, peaking set too high ruins your life. Set it to low and then you can actually see the fine details. So the HD 240, seeing this shot made me realize that I made a huge mistake getting the X-H2s and selling the X-T4. I should club myself over the head with the 100 to 400, but I don't have it anymore unless I did not sell it, but I'm pretty sure I did. But here's some 4K 120p. I don't know if it was just hot out, but sometimes you get this Fuji footage back and it seems a little just heat stroked. I don't know, something about, just sometimes it happens. Maybe the lens hood is like capturing heat or something, but then other times it's pretty clear. This was not bad. He's so carefully walking in the waters, the swampy waters. I don't mind you, Fuji. Slow motion, 4K 120p. It's a little noisy. It looks a little noisy actually. That's pretty bad, but the magic can be yours. It's just you're not going to get that separation. I think Fuji needs a nice prime, a nice 300 mil, maybe 400 mil prime. Tony 2.8 would be so heavy. That 200 mil f2, Tony 2, that's so heavy and like small though. And then you feel it, you're like, wow. We'll try to do some side-by-sides because I got Herons on different day. These are actually the same black crown night heron, but I think, don't quote me on this, but there's the gray one is the female because this couple walked past me and they were like, what is that bird? And then they looked it up on the phone and like, I think this is a female black crown night heron. So I was like, boom. So you see the full frame versus the Fuji. I was just like kind of disappointed in the Fuji. I was like, man, I was so close to the thing. It was pretty good, but we've learned this one lesson. If you have gear, don't compare it side by side against something you think might be better because it might be just a tinge better and you're gonna want it. That's a problem. I was so happy with my Fuji footage until I got the Sony 200 to 600. And then I realized what a sharp lens should be. And I was like, wow, how could I use anything less? I can't bring myself to do it, but I think the Panasonic GH6 is on a different level. It might be able to match it if you get the Leica 200mm Tony 2.8 prime. Then you're talking Panasonic codecs and brilliance with a Leica prime telephoto. I can't find any for a reasonable price. Sell me one. I saw it once for 2,500 Canadian. They're like $4,000 plus tax new. And I saw it and I was like, I should buy that thing. It's so cheap. I can't find it for less than $3,000 plus tax. And even that's way too much. We're looking at $7,000 for the whole system. Speaking of Micro Four loser thirds, I almost forgot about Olympus this whole time. I saw this bird. I don't know what that was. Never seen it before in my life. This was out in Dundas, Hamilton. It looks like that woodpecker, the red-headed one, but maybe it's young or something, and it didn't have a red head yet. I don't know. Hey, there's some woodpecker stuff. Wow. Yeah, there wasn't a lot out that day, I'll tell you that much, but I'm happy with the footage. It's pretty sharp. It's not like super magical, but I imagine that 300mm prime on a GH6 might blow you away. It was a valiant effort by the Olympus system. It's not like good or bad. It's just like it'll get you the shot and it'll be pretty stable, pretty sharp. Manually focusing was pretty easy to just track without that clutch at least. You do have to press a peaking button to keep it on. It's super annoying. He did poo on us. And that's a yellow bird for you. Now, I thought I saw a man standing in the woods. I thought maybe he needed help, but then like he was gone before I could even help him. I thought I saw him, but when we went over there, there was nothing there, unless he was like wearing some sort of camouflage. It's kind of dangerous to wear that. It was a hunting zone. And I was like, I could have shot this guy. I couldn't see him. It was weird. Now coming back to some raccoon footage. Look at his little paws. Oh, the paws of life. And then he reaches forth, pulling himself up. A little stretch. Just a little raccoon stretch. And he's like, ah, yeah, I'm just lazy in a tree. This is the life. Oh, they are so cute. They're like bears. They could kill you. I've seen it happen. Now, I looked down to the murky waters below me, and there was a giant dinosaur dragon. It was like this snapping turtle. Let me tell you, focusing on anything underwater is near impossible. The peaking just does not show up. It's not an easy task, but we got some cool footage of him later, like coming up to eat me, I think. But just the slow motion turtle footage. If I had played this at regular speed, he was gone before you could even blink. Turtles are one of the faster species on the planet. The fairy tale tortoise and the hare, complete lie. That's all I know for sure. You think, oh, the hare is so fast and he could actually rest because he was so cocky, and then the turtle, slow but steady turtle, wins the race. No, that's not how it happened. I saw it. Turtle zoomed past him immediately. There's nothing the hare could do. Now this footage is what nightmares are made of. A snapping turtle that could kill you and is interested in what you're doing. Just for that split second, he inched towards me and then backed away. Oh, he almost bit the lens. And they do blink, by the way. Do you notice though, whenever I switch to the Sony, it just seems richer, sharper, better. Just the colors are disgusting. But I'm sure some people could tweak it. The HD 240p, it's respectable, not like sharp, but somewhat usable. I mean, look at this frog. What the hell was that? Why did he do that? He like threw up his own tongue for no reason. There was no fly. There was no reason to do it. Whereas the Olympus, chipmunk. Oh, no, he's too fast for me. Yeah, the Olympus, it's like, you're never like super proud of what you got. It's like you document the footage. Oh, wow, there's a turkey vulture or something. The stave was nice, somewhat. There was 2 of them. Oh, man. But it's like, even when you're close to a duck, this was somewhat magical. Yeah, you have some amounts of magic here, Olympus. 4K 60p, it's sharp. It's nice and sharp, but I like slower than this. I don't mind the 60p look sometimes, but for true magic, 240 is where you rest. And when you switch to 240 on Olympus, bad things happen to good ducks. All the colors just turn to mush. It's noisy, but like maybe reducted in camera by the Olympus gods. Oh, I got that sentence out wonderfully. It's just over sharpened and nasty. Like, this is not footage you would want to bring back and look at like, yes. Like, you wouldn't be proud of it, whereas I'm pretty sure the Panasonic GH6, get your 10-bit 420 240p, it's like, that's gonna look nice. And the 300 might look nicer than this does. I don't know, it's just, that's the deal breaker for me with Olympus. Their slow-mo is terrible. Whereas with the Sony, it's like these slow creeping walks. This is just 4K 120p, but it's like, this you could have on a show with PBS or something. You could sell this footage. I should do that. Where do you even sell footage? I'm just like throwing it all away uselessly. But these slow hair-on walks, notice how they don't make a splash. They're so good at it. Everything is so precise and slow, and they just move into it. It's like you couldn't tell they were in the water if you were right down there sleeping. I did get a couple moments where she caught a fish. Here was one. Thankfully, there's nothing obstructing our view of it. The fish is wiggling to survive, but it will not survive this night. Not one more second, likely. Then she swallows it. Little gulp. Got the whole thing perfectly in view. Not a twig or a flower obstructing anything. Oh, look at her eyes. Oh, that is beautiful. Whereas the Fuji, same thing. I was even closer, but it looks a little cheaper. It just doesn't look as rich, even though I was right there. This day was filmed in nostalgic neg. I didn't do F-Log, so that could be why. That could be it. But it wasn't the same type of magic that I'm used to on a Fuji, and I'm just telling you right now, if you want to get into wildlife, X-T4 is your go-to. Don't bother with the X-H2s. The 240p is better. Everything about it was better. I regret everything selling that. The only hope is if I can sell this piece of shit and get a Panasonic GH6, and then we might have some dignity left. It's not like it gives you bad footage. It's just, once you see the full frame advantage, that is it. It's an advantage. The only thing you're questioning here is, do I want to carry this thing? Because it's heavy. It's like noticeable. Like the difference between Micro Four Thirds and this, basically if you're there waiting for a bird to do something, you'll have to stop doing that at some point. You're like, okay. And you're holding your breath like it's an ordeal. And the older you get, I imagine your back just starting to tweak out. I don't know, man, but the usability, it's worth it. I just ordered the Wimberley tripod foot. It sticks out longer, it's lighter, so that should be, I notice it's still so top heavy if you're holding it like this, and that's why I get the swaying motions, because it always wants to do that, whereas if I'm out here, maybe that'll balance out, because the stabe's pretty good on Sony. It's just that swaying motion I notice, but like when you're tracking, there's no jerks. All right, couple more scenes and I'll leave you alone. This heron got out on a log, starts walking. I knew it was about to fly. I should have zoomed back out, but this is the mistake. As a wildlife filmographer, don't always zoom all the way in. You think you want to get as close as possible. Not always. This would have looked so much better if I was zoomed out, because I was like, oh my God, she's flying. I missed everything. I actually saw another snapping turtle, even more evil, with better light. Here's on the Fuji HD 240p, because you have to slow down the turtle's movements or it'll be gone in a flash. Like this happened in about, I would say less than a second easily. That thing that just flew by, the piece of dust, that was like light speed dust. But the difference between 4K and that HD 240 is pretty big. It's pretty big on that Fuji. So as this turtle withers away back into its forest underground, it turns off in the distance and we look at the details of its neck. And then I slowly pan down the body in a cinematic-like fashion. Once I regain focus, that is. I show you the whole turtle, not just where he's going now, but where he's been in the past. What's his arm doing? Oh, that's how they move. That's how they move now. And that's a nice shell. Oh, you have other paws with claws? That looks like it would hurt. Oh, the details of life. That's what Fuji will bring to you, the magic. You have a tail. Oh, that's a cute tail. Sorry I didn't get more Olympus footage, but there wasn't much that day, and that's what we got. And thank you, Camera Canada, for lending us the 300mm Tony 4 Prime. Let's all go to Camera Canada tonight. So final thoughts, if you're thinking, I want to get into wildlife, should I just get a cheap little small Micro Four Thirds? I would say GH6 and maybe the 50 to 200. You start there. That's high end still, but start there for the lightest. It's only 400mm, but you got the pixel to pixel that crops in. You might have something. Or just go Blackmagic 4K. Super crop. Raw. Or you step it up. It might not even be a stepped up notch to the Fuji X-T4 from the GH6. So you might want to just stick with the GH6 and avoid Fuji. I love them, but not this new one so much. It's great for skin tones and humans, but not so much the animals. It's not as good. Or you jump right up to the full frame. I think that's the goal, unless you get tired of carrying it and you really don't want that life. But like, that's the best footage. And I bet Canon and Nikon also, possibly better than Sony even. So the cost and the weight versus the results, that's up to you to decide what's worth what. All I know is Camera Conspiracies t-shirts are available, as is all this gear that I use today through affiliate links. I enjoy clicking them as a pastime, and you should also try it. I'm sorry you couldn't see me today. It was just a voiceover. But I'm on a Zeiss lens, and there's 3D pop separation, and it was worth it. I stopped down to 2.5. I have discipline sometimes. I should have left a long time ago. No one's even watching. Subscribe.